Toast for Election Day.
Want to bring in Republican strategist and Donald Trump campaign surrogate Boris Epshteyn, along with Democratic strategist Jessica Tarlov. Good to see you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
So let me get your expectations going into Tuesday. Jessica, kick us off here.
Well, she's only 28 delegates away now from clinching the nomination, so we're obviously going to see that. I think by the time New Jersey gets called, that's going to be a done issue there. But I'm sure that you're going to see another Bernie Sanders speech like that. I've been paying no attention whatsoever to how anyone voted, and just to carry on. It's quite amazing for him to be saying, we need to focus on beating Donald Trump when you're 300-plus pledged delegates behind and you're not going to be the guy. And I've seen reports now that within the Sanders campaign, there's some infighting going on there about when he should step down and try to unify here. Because what he did yesterday, bringing up the Clinton Foundation in his interview.
A very good attack, by the way. Very good attack. Very good. Borrowed right from Republicans, right? So
yes, how kind of him to take your attack lines and use them internally. I really appreciate that.
Front page of the Wall Street Journal. It was great for us. Great for us.
The Sanders campaign split is the top story in the Wall Street Journal.
Right, that's amazing.
It's even above the
fold.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And, I don't see it going as smoothly as a lot of the Democrats wish. And I think it's going to go the way a lot of Democrats fear. He's got the bug. He's addicted to running for president, Sanders is. And he knows he's losing deep inside, but the money is still kind of there, and he just doesn't want to admit it.
Kind of being the operative word. He used to be a lot there, but now.
What are the chances that some of these superdelegates change their minds at the convention and go with Sanders?
Very low.
Very low. Why would they? I mean, this is the thing. He's making an argument not
based in
What if he wins
California?
If he wins California, if he wins, so the polls right now plus or minus 2 for him, but the Real Clear Politics average is, I think it's 8 right now. She's ahead. And we have seen a little bit of movement since her foreign policy speech on Thursday, which was, I think, incredibly meaningful for Democrats to kind of preview what she's going to be like versus Trump, because she hadn't gotten out there herself and done that. It had been more left to surrogates. So I think California incredibly close. I think she comes out on top by a small margin, but he could. That's still pledged. It's still a split in the pledged delegates.
Your boss, Doug Schoen, last week in the Wall Street Journal wrote the following about the superdelegates. If Sanders wins in California, there is every reason to believe at the convention he will offer a rules change to require superdelegates to vote for the candidate who won their state's primary.
But then he'll still lose.
And maybe that's why Sanders is still in it, right? There are enough people out there saying that he has a shot, but also his message has switched, right? If you're anti-superdelegates, but you're hoping for the superdelegates to be the ones that put you over the top, there's a pretty good amount of hypocrisy there from Sanders.
Boris, Dave and I were talking about this. Why didn't Mr. Trump rebut harshly the foreign policy speech? He has so much ammo against her. The Russian reset, the South China Sea, the situation in Benghazi.
Because he's very worried about the Mexican.
Everybody's saying this is a huge missed opportunity. Everybody is saying this.
He's very good counterpuncher.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen likely this week.
Why didn't it?
Because there's plenty of time. Plenty of time still.
It's not plenty of time. He knows how to co-opt a news cycle, and he lost it.
And he saw it as an opportunity to let the speech settle. You'll see in a lot of polling, the speech did not make any move with independents or Republicans. Of course, the Democrats loved it, but they love everything she says. As far as the voters that really matter for the election, the speech didn't make a move. As in any sport, you're just talking about team sports.
She's
like the coach that is tuned out, that's gotten tuned out by her team.
A lot of people on both sides of the aisle thought it was a very good speech.
Well, was it a foreign policy speech or an attack speech?
No. It was an attack speach laced with foreign policy details.
So it really wasn't a foreign policy
speech there at all. She's not even talking about her policy at all.
She didn't speak about her policy, but I know that it was a good attack speech.
Because she doesn't have one. She was a terrible Secretary of State, and you just listed off a bunch.
Trump it up.
Egypt.
But this is why. But this is exactly the kind of points that Trump needed to come out with to counterpunch, and he didn't. So you have to wonder why.
But why is that? And it's because of this issue about the Mexican judge and his thin skin. He spent 48 hours of news cycle wasted going on about this judge, then saying, "Oh, maybe a Muslim judge couldn't be impartial either."
With all due appreciation to the Democrat strategist, as a Republican who knows what's happening, I will tell you there's a rebuttal coming. There's also been a strong foreign policy speech already from Trump. So in a way, she was rebutting him, but again, with none of her own policy. She cannot point to not one success as Secretary of State, and that's what she's running in.
Well,
an absolute terrible Secretary of State.
The Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial about how he fell flat, not rebutting that her speech on Thursday. So it's not they're not a voice in the wilderness in terms of Republicans who were disappointed with how Trump responded.
The speech was on Thursday.
The speech was on Thursday.
It's only Monday.
He tweeted.
Only Monday. He said he could have tweeted.
He did tweet, but he did tweet a lot of responses. He talked about
he said she's
her
just
failures
unfit
as
to be
Secretary of
president.
State.
That's not an answer.
He could have gone to the Russian reset as one item.
Russian reset Libya,
could
but
have
now he
gone
says
to
that he was
ISIS
taking
and
the
getting
Even the Democrats have
No,
answers
obviously,
to
I
her
know the
failures as
talking
Secretary of
points of
State.
the other side. I'm paying attention
What
so
about
that I can deal with it.
What about all the foreign money that
Well, I
went
believe
into
she was
the
Secretary of State
foundation?
when Osama bin Laden was taken out, and we just certainly.
That is not under the Department of State.
Okay, let's give you a chance to advocate for her. What about all the foreign money that's gone into her foundation while she was Secretary of State?
Yeah.
Does
Well,
that
not to
seem
her
fair to the
donation,
average
not to
American?
her
husband.
foundation. It was her
Her name
husband's.
is on the foundation.
It is now, but it was not at the time. It makes a difference. You know, if
Sure.
everyone is penalized
Makes a huge
for what their
difference.
spouse
But he's
does.
getting the money. Come on.
He is getting the money. Listen, when there is
It
a
benefited
clear
both of them
line
as
when
husband
it's
and wife, though.
what
It did
I
benefit
understand.
both of them as
Listen,
husband and wife. So
this is
how do you answer that?
It is a key reason that there are honesty and trustworthiness problems with Hillary Clinton. I understand that. I think any responsible Democrat understands that. You can't draw a straight line between them. You can't say, she said, hey, let's, I'd like some kick.
That's a straight line between Bill and Hillary Clinton. They're married.
No, I'm talking about the donations and her role as Secretary.
He
had to get approval from the State Department because he wanted to give a speech in North Korea.
Yes.
And they told him no.
And there's
So
a very
it's hard to separate Bill Clinton from Hillary Clinton as she's Secretary of State with the foundation donation.
But so far, Jay,
they're husband and wife.
Jessica, I want you to give her point of view. Go ahead. So how do I advocate that? I'm her Democratic strategist. I'm funneling money into my husband's foundation while I'm Secretary of State. We got uranium deals going on. We got all this sort of nonsense.
Nigeria.
I want you to rebut it. Say, okay,
the Qataris.
I'm clean as a whistle. Here are the reasons why.
I don't think that you can say clean as a whistle, and I think that this is a major problem. I mean, it's not.
And you add that
it's
to the email
irresponsible.
server. There's a
There is an email problem.
question.
The Inspector General's report was a problem, but that's another thing about why Trump made a big mistake last week, because she had a terrible week before. That report was scathing. It basically said what she has said in the past about use of her email server is not true. Then she gives this great speech, which there are Republicans who think that.
Can I ask you a question as a Trump advocate? Can he learn from his mistakes? Can he look at last week and say, I would have done a few things differently?
I had a missed opportunity.
As you look at the last 11 months of him being a candidate, you've seen some down points of the campaign, and then you've seen great rebounds. Right now, I actually don't think last week was as bad. There's no panic button to push at all. Again, the polls are pointing the other way.
A few missed opportunities.
Again, there's been a lot of discussion that there's going to be a great rebuttal this week. I will look for it. I'm sure you will as well. And a week from now, we could sit right back here and talk about, hey, wasn't that a good week? And he went back at her on all her foreign policy failures and the email scandal.
There'll be 1 year as a political candidate on June 16th, 10 short days from now. Right. This guy has been unbelievably adaptive in terms of what he's done.
And he continues to be out there.
It's only been a year.
Continues to be out there, continues to beat people, 16 people who thought they were going to have his number in the primaries, and now, 2 others do on the Democrat side, they will absolutely not.
Final word, Jessica.
My final word is yes, he has been extremely adaptive, but we are seeing, I believe, him recede back to the kind of loudmouth, thin-skinned, I think that is an effective attack line that she's used from before. I mean, I remember as Ted Cruz was falling apart at the end there, that he kind of rose up and he seemed presidential in a couple of those press conferences, and I said, this is a problem for my side. And then when I watch him in these interviews, Jake Tapper pushes him 23 times on whether it's a racist attack to be talking about the Mexican heritage.
So you should have capitulated to Jake Tapper? You should let Jake Tapper push him around? No.
It's not about pushing around. It's about being responsible. I don't want a president who calls Jim Acosta a real beauty. I don't want a president who says that someone is asleep. But that's not the point. You guys are relying on Reagan Democrats, and I would have been a Reagan Democrat probably.
But is there some truth to the mainstream media in terms of not reporting the broad
there may be, but it doesn't mean
there is. So
you think that he should have done that?
And
you thought that was
like the New York Times that go after his history with women.
He says what he feels.
Again. And the American people are so attracted to that. They're sick and tired of people like Hillary Clinton who are scripted.
The protests are helping him too, by the way. I mean,
1,000%. That we talked about a number of times.
Spending the money on the protests.
That's why she tried to shut it down last week. That's why she came out pretty forcefully and said, disavow all this violence.
There's evidence that protesters are paid. Evidence out there that they're paid people.
Paid to just go protest.
I'm sure they are. And some of them, I believe, are protesting what are incredibly divisive policies and really upsetting rhetoric.
All right, really important the
Do you
conversation,
think
you
that
guys.
the women in your Soul Cycle class are going to vote for Donald Trump?
Well, my wife's Soul Cycle class, because I don't do Soul Cycle. But I absolutely
You
think
can
so.
come to
The
Soul
answer is
Cycle
yes.
with me
Okay,
anytime
I
you
will.
want.
Boris
Anytime, yes.
Epshteyn, Jessica Tarlov. See that? You made up by the end. You're going to do Soul Cycle
good
together.
friends anyway.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
That's right.
That's
Coming
because
up
the
next.
music is so loud they can't talk to each other.
Hey, do you have any hostesses in your